Geekazine's special coverage of HP Discover 2011 is brought to you by Iolo System Mechanic. Go over and use the code Geekazine for up to 50% off System Mechanic 10. And Wirecast. Produce all your video straight from your computer right to the internet with Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com and click on the link. Of course, Geekazine is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here. All right, continuing coverage of HP Discover. Jeffrey Powers here. We're here with Patrick Eitenbichler.
Very good.
Thank you very much. And we're talking about converged app systems and a very interesting statement that was made yesterday. And I went at the beginning, I talked about it, and the percentage was, what was it again?
32% of applications deployed are deployed successfully, which, if I do the math correctly, 68% fail. Now, we have to qualify fail, but when we basically look at the statistics, 68% of all the application deployments are either not on schedule, not on budget, they don't have the full functionality that was originally planned, or they completely fail, they never get up and running, which means 2/3 don't achieve the objective that was set out originally.
So HP is trying to figure out how these IT people can start creating and getting to that objective, and that's where this umbrella system comes in. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about what you guys announced yesterday?
Okay, sounds great. So I'll actually start one step back. HP announced the Converged Infrastructure Strategy at the end of 2009. And the definition of converged infrastructure is that it is an architecture or a blueprint of a data center that helps customers accelerate the provisioning of both infrastructure and services, infrastructure and applications. And they can create that converged infrastructure, that architecture of the data center, by integrating servers, storage, networks. They integrate security, they integrate power and cooling into an interoperable pool of resources that then gets all provisioned automatically through a central management platform. Now, it was a very long sentence, and it sounds complex, and it is complex. I wish it was much easier, but data centers these days are complex. Now, the challenge we have had since the introduction of converged infrastructure is how to help customers get to convergence more quickly, because the benefits are significant. We talked at the conference many times that most customers spend 70 to 80% on ongoing operations and very little on innovation. And when I look at the situation, basically, what percentage of your IT organization helps the business come up with innovative ideas to compete more effectively to win in the market? So what we did announce just yesterday is our converged systems portfolio that helps customers get to infrastructure convergence much faster. The three parts of our converged systems portfolio are virtual systems, to quickly bring up a virtual environment, whether that's VMware, Microsoft, Citrix. And the second part of the portfolio is app systems. That includes applications for business intelligence, database consolidation, messaging, and others. And the third part was cloud system that allows a customer to build and manage a complete cloud environment in less than 30 days. So the three parts, virtual system, app system, and cloud system, were the components. And again, the whole idea behind creating the systems portfolio was to allow customers to increase the speed, to accelerate the time to application value, to shorten the amount of time it takes for them to get applications up and running.
That's amazing. I've been on that end where we've worked on applications and trying to get a new idea, and then the direction changes because hardware changes or another idea changes. And that's the cool thing about this is somebody's actually thinking about it. How do we keep the expenses from going down? Are there any case studies that say that this is actually going in this direction, that we're at, that by going under this umbrella that IT departments are streamlining a little bit better and getting the work done?
Right. We actually just completed research together with Forrester, and Forrester did the research, we paid for it, but it doesn't mean we influenced the research. So they actually talked to 300 customers to find out how they want to deploy applications in order to drive down that 68% failure rate that we talked about earlier. And there's actually more than half the customers are interested in buying the so-called appliances. In the case of the white paper they wrote, they talk about converged application appliances in order to get applications set up much more quickly and have them optimized to what they're supposed to do. And so that white paper describes exactly that the market, the trend is moving in that direction. And again, just to briefly describe an app system per se, it includes everything from the server, the storage, the network, the operating system, the virtualization software if it's virtualized, the application, all the way to everything optimized for the workload that's put on it. Whether it's Exchange, whether it's Vertica, whether it's an Oracle database, whatever is on there, SQL database, everything is designed to make that workload perform at its best, leveraging best practices from thousands of implementations that HP has done.
Okay. What's the one thing that you really like on this whole idea that that you've seen the most progress in?
What I like best is time to application value. So if I'm a business, unfortunately, actually, in one of the keynotes we talked about competition being a good thing because it drives innovation, it drives lower costs, which is a good thing. But every one of our customers is in a competitive environment where they have to figure out drive innovation, drive differentiation to win in the market. So if they have to wait for 3 months, 6 months, sometimes a year to get an application that would actually help them differentiate, let's just say that there would be something on the web they put out there for their customers to differentiate the experience, or to use an application to figure out customer A always buys this around this time of the year, or they buy this together with something else. It would help them bundle up things to drive their business forward. Mm-hmm. If they have to wait a year till the application is up and running, they may be another year behind the competition. And then we get into the 32%, 68% again. In many cases, they wait for a year and then find out they can't get it to work. So time to application value by having an app system that they can bring up within hours, within days, within a couple of weeks, depending on how big the application is, they really get the benefit much faster, makes them more competitive.
Yeah. Time to application, that's the key.
That's exactly it.
Right there. Anything else that you wanted to talk about with the group out here?
Right. So we talked about the app systems in the various areas, and I mentioned the family of converged systems earlier. That includes virtual system and cloud system as well. And so when we look at the customer challenge out there, it is time to application value, but in some cases, you just want the underlying platform and you then provision the application yourself. So in order to come up with a virtualized environment, we launched the virtual systems that deliver virtual environments on VMware, on Citrix, on Microsoft, both on the server side, but also VDI on the virtual desktop side, where they can very quickly bring up the virtual environment and then deploy applications themselves. So that also time to application value. The third piece was the cloud system, where you can then actually upgrade a virtual system or start with a cloud system to create a private cloud environment in your own data center, or then actually leverage public cloud outside your data center to burst to, or to manage a hybrid environment through a single system.
Can you set up a cloud system as or a part of the cloud system as like a sandbox for application deployment and testing environments?
So one of the key capabilities in a cloud system are so-called cloud maps. And those are templates where you can design the infrastructure plus the virtual environment plus the application that sits on top of it as a template to deploy it frequently. Let's say there's a development server or a SharePoint site that you need to deploy on a regular basis where lots of requests come in. Instead of doing one-offs, so every time somebody wants additional SharePoint server, that you have to have the server guy and the storage guy and the networking guy and the SharePoint admin get together to figure out how to deploy it, you actually create a template. And then at the very beginning of the conversation, I talked about those virtual resource pools. The template then takes server resources, storage resources, networking resources to automatically provision that SharePoint site. It's that template that allows you to deploy applications very quickly in that cloud environment.
All right. Well, I think unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about really quick.
I think we got it covered.
We got it pretty much covered. So
if you have any other questions, there's Discover Online.
What's the best white paper that somebody could actually read up on to find out a little bit more about this?
Actually, if you go to hp.com/go/converged systems, one word, converged systems, there's a number of white papers. There's actually a number of videos that describe exactly what I went through, and white papers to get additional detail underneath that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Patrick, for your
Thanks,
time.
Jeff. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. So we're learning about clouds. We're learning about virtualization. We're learning about creating your time for a better time production, so you can get your staff going and you can get your applications done on a timely manner. And that's the important thing on this whole thing.
Exactly right.
HP Discover, Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine and the Tech Podcast Network. Thanks again to Patrick, and we will be right back with more interviews. Geekazine's special coverage of HP Discover 2011 is brought to you by Iolo System Mechanic. Go over and use the code Geekazine for up to 50% off System Mechanic 10. And Wirecast. Produce all your video straight from your computer right to the internet with Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com and click on the link. Of course, Geekazine is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here.